Hi Year 10, I'm creating a video of the English session within school so that those who couldn't make it have a chance to access the learning. This is what we went through. For your speaking and listening, if you haven't started this yet and you need some resources, you must email me and ask for them. You have until next Friday to complete this. This is the end of term. In class, we looked at your knowledge of poetry. We had a discussion about this. As you did not attend, I need you to send me pictures of your annotated poems or your final thoughts so I can see you've covered these poems. In the handout I sent you in the post, there are 8 questions. I'd like you to see if you can have a go at answering these 8 questions. You may need your anthology to help. So pause this video to complete this task. So quickly, first one is neutral tones, the pond, sun and tree. Second one, I want to be yours. The parental relationships and death. My father wouldn't show us a sick child. The poet who lusts after his cousin is Lord Byron, who wrote She Walks in Beauty. Number 5 is One Flesh, and that links to Catholic religion for your context. The poems incorporating war and manhunt and nettles. The poems of 2 speakers is Labelle and First Date he and she. You need to be using my videos to look at these poems because pupils who have used my videos, their knowledge is a lot better. And I go through the 2 speakers in both of these videos on these poems. And poems written by the Romantic poets, it's actually the first 4 on the contents page within your anthology. So about a child, She Walks in Beauty, and A Complaint. I've given you the assessment objectives. There are 3. These have appeared in the videos all the way through when we're looking at the relevant skills. AO1, you need to be able to understand how to read a poem and understand what it's talking about, because as well as a question on these poems that you've looked at, you will also have a question in your GCSEs on poems you've never looked at before, unseen poetry. So you need to have practiced these skills. Secondly, analysis, you do this all the time, so I'm not going to go into detail here. And thirdly, you need contextual information. You have to know this before going into the exam. So things about the history around the poem or what kind of relationship it is. You need this kind of information to be able to answer the questions fully. So how to annotate a poem. We practice this in class just to help us feel a little bit more confident. You will have already annotated all of these poems, hopefully following the videos. So it should be quite an easy task to do because it's asking for the same skills and the same criteria. First of all, you need to understand the poem and the titles. Then you need to have the relevant context knowledge. Then we need to be able to look at something structurally, some structural analysis and some language analysis. So you have both of these poems placed next to each other because we're going to compare them later. I want you to have a go at completing these tasks, just answering those 3 questions as annotation around the poem. You'll probably need to use your notes. Pause this video to complete this task. So quickly going through the answers. So A Complaint, reading through it, it is about a painful change in a relationship. There is pain within the poem. There is heartbreak within the poem. This links to the context. If you've already looked at these poems, you'll know this. It's a breakdown of a friendship. It's not a romantic relationship. It's a breakdown of William Wordsworth and Samuel Coleridge's friendship. That is important contextual information that you will need. Exploring the title downplays this pain. Now I've used the pupils who came in, their interpretations, and I've used that here because it's important to see other pupils' interpretation and how they got to this point. So this is what I am showing you now. This title downplays the pain. And how does it do it? A is an indefinite article. So this means it could be any complaint. There is a distance from the actual complaint shown here. It's not the complaint. It's not a clear, it's not focusing on, it's almost suggesting it's not focusing on one complaint, but it is. So it's the title distances the pain. And complaint, the noun connotes to a daily argument, trivial problems you might have, or it could be like a business transaction. Maybe you've gone to the shop to take some clothes back. It doesn't seem to fit with the emotion and the heartbreak within the poem. You also need something on structure. So here we looked at the fact that the poem has a cyclical structure, showing that the thoughts are going over and over in the poet's head. So cyclical, pour is at the beginning and pour is at the end. Door is at the beginning, door is at the end. It's going round and round. If you're unsure of this, go back to the video on this and rewatch it. It's also got a regular rhyme scheme and rhythm, A, B, A, B, C, C, which is occasionally broken by enjambment, showing the overflow of emotion. This links directly to context, because this poem is from the Romantic era. Wordsworth was a Romantic poet, and these are poets that explored strong emotion in a structured way. It shows that they've thought about these feelings over and over again. Language, one that most people picked out, is this line of murmuring, sparkling, living love. This is tripling, it's alliteration, it's personification, because the love is living. It's suggesting that their relationship was so wonderful before and alive, and now he's sad. And it's followed up with rhetorical questions within the same sentence. If we compare this to neutral tones as we go and follow the same process, so neutral tones, this poem explores a change in relationship, very similar to the first. However, this one is a breakdown of a romantic relationship. We infer this because Hardy faced many disappointments in life, in his love life, okay, and in his other writing as well. It was quite melancholic, and relationships didn't seem to win out. This we then compare to the title, and once again the title is downplaying the pain, the heartbreak, the broken relationship within the poem. How? With the adjective neutral suggesting impartiality, maybe the colour beige. No real strong feelings are shown with the colour neutral, sort of in the middle. However, this poem focuses on a painful memory, and if you look at stanza 3, you have dead used, the idea of death used more than once, and ominous. Structure, cyclical again. This one is cyclical with the imagery. You've got a pond, you've got a sun, you've got the ash tree, and at the end this is also repeated. So this is going over and over in the poet's head, with a regular rhyme scheme and rhythm, occasionally broken by enjambment, exactly the same as the first one. But this poet was a Victorian poet. However, he was influenced by the Romantic poets. It also took Hardy 20 years to publish this poem. So it shows his memory has stayed with him 20 years later, and he's still thinking about the pain of love. And within this stanza, you have personification and contrasting images. So the personification you can directly compare to the first poet to a complaint, and the fact that he was talking about the living love in a positive way. And here, the love is dead, the smile is dead. So it's negative portrayal. So when we look at a question, we've recapped an annotation. So when we look at a question, as we always do in class, we highlight the relevant information. So read through the question on the next page. It's got a table below it, and highlight the relevant information. Okay, so this question is asking you to choose another poem. I've picked your poem today to make it a bit easier for us to compare, but you would choose your poem normally. You'd have one in front of you and you have to do the other one from memory. You need to compare, so you need discourse markers throughout. You need whereas, likewise, on the other hand, and you must do this all the way through your paragraph. You need the focus. The focus is strong feelings. So you need to talk about strong emotions and strong feelings throughout, or where weak emotions are played. But you don't want to be talking about parental love or other things that aren't connected with this particular focus. You need to look at language, form and structure, and these are going to form your 3 main paragraphs. And you need to look at the context, and I've shown you how important that is within the annotation. So looking at your table, you focus, let's fill this in together. So you focus, strong feelings. Poem 1 is a complaint. Poem 2 is neutral tones. All the thoughts from before were just popping into here, so then we can put it into a paragraph. So if we look at a complaint, poet downplays the breakup within the title. How? A is an indefinite article. Complaint is a noun connoting to simple everyday annoyance. And then you compare this directly to neutral tones. Oh, sorry. The context, it's a broken friendship. Neutral tones, the same exact thing. Downplaying with the title, but in a different way. So how? Neutral is an adjective, suggesting impartiality. Can we link in context? Yes, Hardy faced many disappointments in romantic relationships. So that's everything you need to cover the success criteria in the mark scheme. And I'm just going to show you that now before you have a go at writing this paragraph. Oh, sorry, both poets, so summing it up, both poets possibly attempting to hide their true pain. So I've given you sentence starters. If you can move away from these, that'd be brilliant, but I've given them you because some of you like them. I've also given you the mark scheme so you can see how many marks are awarded for each point. But then I've pulled everything together for you and given you a success criteria here. So you need to have a go at writing a comparative paragraph. You need to use your plan. You need to use sentence starters if you're struggling, and use this success criteria to begin practicing your response. And you can see the success criteria is color coded by the assessment objectives. Here is one I completed with some of the girls in class. I'm only giving you the first half, and I want to show you how it fits with the success criteria. So here is theirs. It begins with a comparison, both. Then we go into we're using the subject terminology of noun, pulling apart the title. This is also personal response and critical style, pulling it apart for analysis, going through the idea of indefinite article as well, and linking in the relevant context to explore this. This is only the first half of the paragraph. The second half of the paragraph is started for you because similarly, neutral tones, title, does a very downplays the emotion, but in a different way. And then you need a final sentence summing this all up. So you can use the girls' first bit of the paragraph, but I want you to have a go at completing this paragraph. Then you need to go back to your table, complete the table using these ideas. And it would be a good idea to have a go at writing that up. But additional resources. I have given you a structure strip, that's the colourful one within your pack. It follows the same format as a table. I've given you a complete essay based on the two poems that I've created. It's double-sided. It's also got an introduction and conclusion, but it follows the same process you have. And there is a booklet within your envelope to help you better understand the poem. So this is revision over your 6 weeks. This is made by Miss Kira, so shout out to Miss Kira. Thank you for this. Finally, the next task I'll be asking for is a completed essay on the second question within your handout. So the focus is desire and the name poem is I Want to Be Yours. Use the same process, planning sheet, model responses, success criteria and sentence starters as a guide. You must complete at least 3 paragraphs, one on titles, one on structure and one on language. It would be lovely if you added an introduction and conclusion too. I would like this by next Friday, which is Friday the 17th of July. Sorry, I've had to rush through this. I don't have that long on the recording. If you have any additional questions, just email me and I'll help you out. Well done, Year 10.